The SNP's Ian Blackford was warned Scotland would face crucial impediments to their vaccination programme if they were successful in their independence campaign because they would need to cozy up to the EU. The SNP leader in the House of Commons was grilled on whether he saw any positives to Scotland remaining in the UK. Mr. Blackford said he could not find one, adding the nation would be doing much better in their vaccination programme if they were not held back by Westminster. However, Channel 4's Cathy Newman pointed out that Scotland's vaccination programme would be seriously affected if they were independent, as they would be unable to automatically enrol on the UK's rollout. The Channel 4 host quizzed the Scottish MP about vaccines and said, "Let's talk purely about the vaccines then for a minute. If you had your way, you'd be part of the EU. You'd be part of their programme, you'd be lagging behind the rest of the UK in vaccines if you were an independent Scotland and part of the EU?" Mr. Blackford replied, "Cathy, I would simply say that for all of us this is a global pandemic. I'm a citizen of Scotland, I'm European, I'm a global citizen, and we have to work together." And to try and argue somehow that the UK stands alone and has been able to deal with this in a way that other people haven't, that's a ridiculous argument for Boris Johnson that anyone else can take. Ms. Newman then pointed out, "You're talking about working together, you could work with the union on your doorstep instead of joining a union across the sea." The politician added, "One of the things that was mentioned earlier in your piece with your interview with Gordon Brown was the Prime Minister meeting with the First Minister, and I asked the Prime Minister just yesterday questions about financial support. We're willing to do that, we're willing to work with the UK government. Of course it's right when we're dealing with the pandemic, to do as appropriate as we do so, but there has to be respect in that process, and that's been missing for too many occasions." Prime Minister Boris Johnson recently visited Scotland and met with laboratories who were processing COVID tests. The decision to visit was slammed by the SNP, who believed the move was irresponsible due to the pandemic. The Prime Minister hoped the visit would highlight the united effort across the UK against coronavirus. Michael Gove defended his visit and said, "The Prime Minister has a responsibility and a role to make sure the vaccine rollout is proceeding appropriately."